Here is the lineup for the feature race very quickly. Front row, Saldana and Leavitt. Second row, Vogler and Bigelow. Third row, Peperack and Rice. Fourth row, Johnson and Leffler. Fifth row, Parsons and Bubby Jones. Sixth row, Dixon and Kelly. Seventh row, McClellan and Gates. Eighth row, Ball and Smith. The ninth row, Rich Level and Jan Opperman. 10th row, Bill Tyler and Gary Ewell. In the 11th row, Duke Cook and Red Bledsoe. 12th row, Chuck Moore and Quint Cullison. And now, as we indicated, Bubby Jones must start on the tail of the field. Here they come off of the fourth turn. We could get a start this time around, and we do get a start. The green is out. We're racing 40 laps to go. The feature race here at Terre Haute. Eddie Leavitt in car number 7 has the lead momentarily as they go down the backstretch. Falling into second place is Rich Vogler, and third, Tom Bigelow. Right now, though, Eddie Leavitt, who started outside of row number 1, has the lead as the cars go through turns 3 and 4 onto the main straightaway. Here's the completion of lap number 1. It is Eddie Leavitt and Rich Vogler and Larry Rice. Car number 10, driven by Bubby Jones, is pulling into the pit area. It's all over for Bubby this afternoon. That is the car, of course, that has been driven all season long by Steve Chassie, who is injured. And while we have the opportunity here, let's thank Steve Chassie for coming up here in our broadcast booth and helping us with some of the heat races and the semi-feature. We hope Steve is back in action real soon. Eddie Leavitt in car number 7 is your leader here as he goes through turn number 2 onto the backstretch.
Well, Bob, the first 8 cars as they lined up had all been very, very fast at one time or another today. Leavitt starting on the outside pole, really wasn't expected to pull away with the ease that he has. We have a caution flag now, apparently we have a car sitting sideways. Car number 59, Quint Cullison, has looped out on the bottom side of the fourth turn. We are commenting that we really didn't expect Leavitt to be able to pull away from the rest of the field.
The green flag is out. We're restarting here at Terre Haute. Leavitt goes high. Rich Vogler goes to the inside. Let's see if Rich can go around him here. The cars are virtually side by side as they go down the backstretch. It is Rich Vogler just putting a nose ahead of Eddie Leavitt as they go into turn number 3. Once again, it is Leavitt going high and Vogler to the inside. Here they come off of the fourth turn. This is going to be a drag race down here to the finish line, but it is Eddie Leavitt continuing to maintain the lead. Leavitt high, Vogler low, all over this racetrack as they complete lap number 3. There now is Rich Vogler getting the jump off of the second turn, and Rich Vogler has taken the lead here at Terre Haute. And Eddie Leavitt drops to second, and Larry Rice still running third. Joe Saldana, the pole sitter, is still fourth. Here they come to complete lap number 4.
Well, as Vogler takes the lead, he's found a real quick spot on the inside of the second turn. Now that Vogler has the lead, I noticed that he has moved back up with the cushion. So Rich Vogler running high and low, but as he has taken the lead, that means that Rich Vogler has led the last 6 USAC sprint car races. Now the first 5 cars, we're looking at the 2 leaders coming off the fourth turn there, that Vogler going by first, followed by Leavitt. The first 5 cars are still well within striking distance of one another.
Well, Larry, it appeared to me that Rich Vogler preferred to run that higher groove up in the cushion, but used the inside to get around Eddie Leavitt, and now that he is around him, Vogler, I think, will move to that outside and use the cushion here, especially up there in turns number 3 and 4. They complete lap number 6 of 40. Rich Vogler continues to lead with Eddie Leavitt running in second position. That white car driven by Larry Rice, who was the fastest qualifier this afternoon, is running in third. Now Rich Vogler stretches it out just a little bit. Meanwhile, we go back into the pack and pick up the pole sitter of this race, Joe Saldana. He won here earlier this year. Saldana is running now in 4th position. Little Joe Saldana in car number 70, running in 4th position, right behind Larry Rice, Eddie Leavitt, and Rich Vogler. There is Saldana moving that car off of turn number 2, flashing down the backstretch. Joe Saldana, originally from Nebraska. The leader continues to be Rich Vogler. Here he is, completing the 8th lap.
We were a couple seconds ago looking at Saldana. Not only has Saldana won here, but he's been hot recently. There's Rich Vogler, the leader, who has now opened up about a 12-car length lead over second place Eddie Leavitt. Saldana has been hot recently. He's also finished second and fourth. There's Rich Vogler, who continues to use that cushion. And Vogler is really blazing the trail for a lot of the other drivers. They see him up there, and all of the top 5 cars are now up in that cushion. But Vogler continues to pull away from the rest of the field.
I tell you, this is an amazing young man, Rich Vogler. He has, well, virtually dominated, I think you could say, he and Steve Chassis, the races so far this year. And I know what's going through Steve Chassis' mind right now. Of course, we talked with him earlier this afternoon. He was up here to help us with the commentary, but he can do absolutely nothing watching Vogler rack up points here this afternoon. Now we go back into the pack here and pick up a race that is pretty far back in the pack. That would be car number 77, driven by Dave Peperack. And this is the race for 10th position. Right ahead of him is Chet Johnson. There is Dave Peperack, though, who, as we have indicated earlier, holds the one-lap track record here in Terre. Meanwhile, your leader continues to be Rich Vogler in car number 2. He has already completed 11 laps. We are more than a fourth of the way through this race, and Vogler moves that car off of the second turn down the backstretch.
Now, because it is a long race, Vogler does have to pace himself to some degree. There's the 4th place car of Joe Saldana.
Oh, and Saldana is hit by another car, and just as we switched to that, the accident occurred. Joe Saldana got hit by another car there in the 3rd turn, and Saldana is stalled sideways in the middle of the racetrack. And according to the USAC officials, he was bumped there by Gary Ewell in car number... No, excuse me, he was not. He was bumped by another car, probably Tom Bigelow in car number 50.
Trying to gain ground, trying to move up from 5th into the 4th place. But he's really going at it. There's the leader once again. There's the 2nd place car, Larry Rice in car number 3. Rice was running down in the bottom a few laps ago, and he almost got passed on the high side by Leavitt. So now Larry Rice has moved up high to the middle of the racetrack. He's using the cushion, I think, for the time being. He has given up on trying to catch Rich Vogler.
Well, that's the battle at this point in the race. It's between Larry Rice there in car number 3 and Eddie Leavitt, who is right behind him in a black number 7. Rich Vogler, meanwhile, continues to stretch out the lead on Larry Rice. And so Vogler is well out into the lead at this point. Well, Larry Rice, as you indicated earlier, Larry, sometimes has very good second halves of the season, and that's certainly been the way that he has performed here this afternoon. But he is unable at this point to catch Rich Vogler in car number 2, your leader, at this point. Vogler has completed 18 laps. We're almost halfway finished. There again is Larry Rice in 2nd place.
Even though Vogler has been the guy to beat recently, this guy on your screen right now, Larry Rice, really is tough on this racetrack. In 2 previous races at Terre Haute that Larry Rice had finished, he finished 3rd and 2nd. The other race, he crashed with Johnny Parsons while he was battling for 2nd position. So Larry Rice is accustomed to running up front here at Terre Haute. And as you saw there, he was the 1977 dirt car or dirt championship car champion.
Well, the leader continues to be Rich Vogler. We have completed 20 laps. That, in fact, is the completion of the 25th lap. 21st lap, I'm sorry. So we are more than halfway finished. There is Rich Vogler going around one of the slower cars in the field, Red Bledsoe in number 98. Vogler is already lapping the slower cars here halfway through this event. Vogler now in turns 3 and 4. Again, he keeps that car right up there on the cushion as he completes another lap. Here is Duke Cook in car number 28, calling it quits for the afternoon. Duke has had some problems here this afternoon and not been competitive at all. That car, incidentally, sponsored by Willie Nelson and Family the Singer and the movie star now, one of the most popular movies out nowadays, Honeysuckle Rose, starring Willie Nelson, and he sponsors Duke Cook's car. Now here is Vogler moving off of the 4th turn, continuing to lap some of the slower cars and completing lap number 22. Vogler appears well on the way to victory now. He has almost a straightaway lead on 2nd place, Larry Rice. Running in 3rd is Eddie Leavitt, 4th is Larry Dixon, 5th is Tom Bigelow, and 6th is Larry Gates.
Well, we see a phenomenon here as we look at the battle for 4th and 5th position between 56 Bigelow and 51 Gates. We see a phenomenon that we don't often see at Terre Haute. All of the front runners are running up high on the racetrack. The cushion has been built up quite severely. There's really a bank of dirt on the high side of this racetrack. the track in the groove is getting real black and shiny. You can probably see it on your screen. And the blacker and shinier it gets, the more slippery it becomes. So even though that cushion is there, the drivers have to be extremely careful because one little mistake will put these cars out of control. When the track gets black and shiny like that, it's just like running on clear ice.
Well, there is some damage to that car of Tom Bigelow in the front end, sustained when he hit Joe Saldana a little earlier. There is Larry Gates in car number 51, running in 6th position at that time. The car that came into your screen just for a moment there is not one of those up there in contention. So Larry Gates in car number 51 continues to run in 6th position. Meanwhile, your leader continues to be Rapid Rich Vogler, as Vogler comes off the backstretch and heads for turn number 3, about to complete lap number 27. It again appears to be an easy Sunday afternoon drive for Rich Vogler. His interval is 4.28 seconds on Larry Rice. There is another car that has dropped out of competition, the driver Greg LEFFLER. Last year's champion of this division, and Greg LEFFLER continues to be plagued by bad luck this season.
LEFFLER has pulled into the pits. It's a car that they actually just completed about 2 weeks ago. It's one that they had raced earlier in the season. They parked it, and then they brought it back. For Greg LEFFLER, it's been really a frustrating season. They have not been able to get any car or any combination to work. Meanwhile, out on the racetrack, it's still Rich Vogler, and it's at this point in the race where Vogler really has to be careful as he begins to pick his way through slower traffic.
There you saw a little incident involving Larry Gates and Larry Dixon. Both of them bumped wheels in turn number 2, sending Dixon there in car number 8 high. He lost a position, but has picked up the throttle again and right back there in the competition. Larry Dixon in car number 8. Here is Rich Vogler continuing to lead. Johnny Parsons running right behind Larry Dixon on the racetrack. Now here is Rich Vogler coming out of turn number 4 onto the straightaway and completing lap number 30. Lap number 30, we only have 10 more laps to go. You can see, perhaps, as the cars come down the straightaway here, the ruts that have formed, even in the straightaways, let alone the ruts that have formed in the turns here, making driving somewhat precarious for all of these drivers, especially Rich Vogler, who would like to continue to maintain that lead, which is now over 5 seconds on second place Larry Rice. Meanwhile, we go back to the battle involving car number 8, Larry Dixon, and 55, Johnny Parsons. That is the battle for 6th position. Right now, Dixon holds it, but Johnny Parsons is right on the tail of that race car. Parsons and Dixon going at it here in the late stages of this 40-lap feature.
Larry Dixon driving that Ben Laban number 8 car. The car is wrenched by a gentleman by the name of Jack Stack, who at one time was really the most consistent winning mechanic on the USAC sprint car trail. There you see Dixon on the left and Parsons on the right. A couple of guys who have run an awful lot of sprint car races. Larry Dixon has won an awful lot. He's second on the all-time list for most wins. These two drivers know each other very well, and as you watch them, you just get the feeling they're having a darn good time out there doing some good old-fashioned dirt track.
Here is Johnny Parsons moving by Larry Dixon. Parsons really stood on the gas. At least he was by him for a moment there. I shouldn't say he stood on the gas because these cars do not operate on gasoline. They run on methanol. Parsons was able to get around Larry Dixon just for a moment, but now Dixon is back on the throttle and has the lead over Parsons, who goes way high up into the cushion. Now Larry Dixon moves around a couple of the slower cars back there.
One of the white cars that they just went around was Larry Gates, one of the drivers in the top 5. Gates was 5th in car number 51. It was one of the cars you just saw Dixon and Parsons blow off.
Well, Rich Vogler, your leader there in the 3rd turn, is about to come down and conclude lap number 36. So we've only got about 4 more laps to go, and we do have a caution on the racetrack as one of the cars, apparently over there in turns 3 and 4, I believe it'll be car number 51, driven by Larry Gates, who has stalled over there on the inside of turn number 3, so we'll have to get the tow trucks out and push him to the pit area. We'll be back for the restart here at Terre Haute in just a moment.
Our apologies for the video difficulties. Please do not adjust your television set. Our engineers are working on the problem, and we should be back to normal momentarily. Please stand by.